All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you all for attending one of our monthly power hours. We are going to go ahead and get started. First off, thank you for coming. And if you could just please make sure that your audio is turned off. I try to make sure that everybody's audio is turned off throughout this, but please make sure that you are muted so that way you do not interrupt the presentation. Also, there's a little chat box at the bottom. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please ask your question in that chat box, and everything will be answered at the end of the presentation. Like I said, if you have any questions, please make sure it goes through the chat box. Please do not interrupt the presentation. We are gonna try to get through everything all at once, okay? All right, well, with that being said, I will turn it over to Nikki Wallace and Melissa Fowler over at the Real Estate Commission.
Thank you, Stephanie. I am Melissa Fowler. This is Nikki Wallace. We are compliance investigators here with the Louisiana Real Estate Commission. We've been here 10 to 15 years, so we've seen a little bit of everything. So today we want to come and talk to y'all about some of the most common violations that we see, things that come across our desk all the time. So if you have any questions, like Stephanie said, please put them in the chat. We are here to answer any questions that you have, but we'll answer them towards the end of the presentation. So to get started, we're going to start off with our audits. One moment. Okay, just one. Oh, we're having technical.
Okay, so our education audits is something that we conduct annually. We do the CE education of the CE audit as well as the post-licensing audit. So of course, one of our most common violations would be the education audit because of the numerous licensees that we have in the audit. The CE audit is in conjunction with you getting your 12 hours of CE prior to renewing your license. This past year, we've had about 667 licensees audited. And so also you need to make sure that the hours that you are completing are the correct hours. So we typically see a lot of licensees that may get the code of ethics. That is elective hours, but that's not our mandatory course. So make sure when you're gonna get your 12 hours of CE prior to renewing, that if you have questions about what the upcoming mandatory course is or what hours you should be taking, please call the education department. We don't want to see you assess the fine for something as minor as education hours.
And also, please don't wait till 11:59 on December 31st to try to complete those hours. Get them prior to, because at 12:01, you are considered late. You are considered delinquent, especially if you've already renewed that license. So make sure you get those hours prior to renewing the license.
So post-licensing is also a part of our education audit. This is where a licensee, any new licensee, has to complete 45 hours of post-licensing education within 180 days. So the law is clear. It gives you 180 days to get those hours done. And this is for anyone that had a license that expired and came back. That's considered a new license. It's for any new licensee that upgrades from a salesperson to a broker. That's going to be a new license. So you need to make sure that if you acquire a new license with the LREC, that you do complete your post-licensing education and it is completed within the correct time frame, or you will be assessed a fine. Our past post-licensing cases that we've actually audited and conducted was 290 licensees. And so just know that the first offense for these education violations is $325, and then the fine increases from there.
Another audit that we conduct is the practice after expiration audit. So if you've ever renewed delinquently, you will be, you know that you fill out that delinquent affidavit form, and that's just attesting as to whether or not you practiced during that expired period. So all licenses expire December 31st. Anything done after that time period is considered a violation. So you should not be practicing once that license expired. Once you get it renewed, then you can go ahead with normal business. But like I said, once that license expired, you are in violation if you are practicing. Our last audit, we had 204 licensees who checked yes and who were in violation. So, and like Nikki said, the first offense is $325, but it does increase after each violation.
So next to our education audits and our practice after expiration audit, we would consider advertising violations as the most common violation as well. We have a lot of advertising violations that we do receive from you, the licensees. 99% of the complaints that we do receive in regards to advertising is from licensees. The public is not sending us any information in regards to these violations. They don't know our rules or our laws, but other licensees are. So it's important that you make sure if you're gonna advertise either printed flyers or on the internet, that you make sure you are in compliance. The fines for these violations have increased. And so basically we're gonna go through them. It used to be $75 back in 2017. They've done that list. A lot of licensees will continue to violate the same portion of the law. So the commission has come up with something else. So as of that date, as of now, it's $250 for the first offense, and that's for both the broker and the agent. It's $500 for the second offense for both the broker and the agent, and it's $1,500 for your third offense. So if you're gonna advertise, number one, make sure it's in compliance, get it approved by your broker. If in fact you still having problems, you can contact us or send it to us and we'll review it for you. But you do want to make sure that you are in compliance with these rules, because again, it is not the public, it is licensees that are sending us screenshots and emails of different Facebook posts and social media and Instagram. So you need to make sure if you're going to advertise on those platforms that you are in compliance.
Okay, some of the common advertising violations we see, internet advertising, that tops our list. There's so many social media platforms out there that, and we know that y'all are trying different innovative ways to get your names out there, but just make sure that when you are advertising on these platforms that you are doing it correctly. So we see a lot of internet advertising violations, disclosures and representation. That means you, those who don't have their broker's name and phone number clearly disclosed. Owner authorization, you must have the owner's authorization prior to listing or marketing any of their property. And accuracy in advertising, you must have the accurate information on your in your advertisements.
So this is an example of an acceptable Facebook ad. This is one of the ones that we've come across in the past years, and she's had everything that's needed in regards to being in compliance with internet advertising. This is for Facebook specifically. You can put that information in your profile page. All that information needs to be there. There's a long story she has about her company and everything. You can put information there. Just make sure that you do have the minimum requirements as far as Chapter 25, Section 2515 for internet advertisements. Because again, if you do not and it's sent to us, we have no choice but to issue a citation.
And you can choose, as you can see, she has it in her profile picture. If you have a business card with all of the information that's required for internet advertising, you can put it in your profile picture. You can put it in your cover photo. You can even type it in every post. I know that may be a little cumbersome, but just make sure that all of the information is there where the public can see it. This is another Facebook post. She attempted to put the information, but she didn't get all of it. So just make sure when you're adding your broker information that your work in education, make sure that you get all of the information there. So she has the broker's name and the city and state, but she didn't have the broker's phone number nor the regulatory jurisdiction. So just make sure that you're getting all of the information there.
This is an email signature that Melissa and I discovered years back in 2017 from one of the gentlemen in the area. He had a perfect email signature. And so we speak about it because number one, it's in the rules that your email signature must be in compliance as well. That constitutes as internet advertisement. And number two, just the way that he did it. We've seen business cards. And so if you're gonna do a business card, make sure you have all of the information that's required for internet advertisements and you can upload it to your signature. That may be a good tool you can use. But this gentleman has his broker's name and number, the city and state, licensed by Louisiana Real Estate Commission. And so just make sure that that you do have this information in your email signature if you're doing any kind of business in regards to real estate, advertising yourself or your services or property listed. Melissa had a case where a gentleman was speaking with another agent and they were going back and forth in an email, and he might have had something as small as the city and state that wasn't in the email signature. Instead of the person telling him to add it, they screenshot and sent that email correspondence to us, and we had to cite him for a violation. So just make sure that you do have all of your information updated and in place, because we don't want you to receive any citations or a violation rather for Chapter 25 advertising.
This is a post that we pulled. This is from Trulia. Now, we typically don't cite for Trulia, Zillow, Realtor.com, those types of sites, because we know that they pull incorrect information. However, you have the option on those sites to pay for enhancements, and then when you do so, you then are subject to the rules and regulations of the commission. This group did not have any broker information, any phone numbers, anything like that referencing their broker. It was just about them. So make sure if you are, whatever platform that you're using, make sure you have the broker's name, phone number, the city and state, the regulatory jurisdiction. And if you're a franchise, make sure that you have that in each office is independently owned and operated disclosure there. And that will keep you out of our office.
So in conjunction with advertising, as well as the education audits that we talked about and the practice after expiration audit for common violations, we again also see a violation of Chapter 31, which is just reporting your change of address or telephone number to the commission. This may seem really, really small, but it gets huge because when we're doing these audits and when we're doing investigations, we determine, or we run into issues rather, where licensees have not reported that they changed their address. So we get notices sent back to us, which delays the investigation, and we have to try to track you down and find out where you are to send you a proper notice. So this, of course, is in the rules and regulations, and it says you have 10 days to notify us. So if you've changed your address or telephone number within the last 10 days, you need to actually report that to us, or you can be subject to a fine. The fine, I believe, is $150 for this violation, and it is probably one of our most common violations that we do see, because we get a lot of notices back from licensees that just says they changed their address. And then whenever we speak with them, they say they moved 5 years ago. So just get in the habit of doing it if you someone that moves frequently or you have moved, please, we implore you to update your address. It's easy to do. You can go to our website, to your portal, and update the information there.
Another common violation is principal disclosure by a licensee. So whenever you're a principal in the transaction, that means you have to disclose your status as a licensee. And that's just because you have superior knowledge over the public. So if you are buying a property, if you're selling a property, in there, prior to negotiations, you need to put it in writing, let the other party know that you are a licensee, and that will keep you out of our office.
Some common violations continue. So whenever we get into investigations, typically this lasts probably a year or so, or even if you want to go further back, we can go in probably any broker's office right now today, and we would see this violation. That's how common it is. Presentation of offers. First of all, we know that you guys are presenting all offers immediately without delay. That's never been an issue. Annotating the actual offers. So annotation means to put the date and the time on the actual offer as to when it was received, when it was presented, when it was countered, accepted, or rejected. We've seen that a lot of cases that we work that the licensees are not giving copies of documents to the clients, and so therefore they don't know what's going on in the transaction. This is not in conjunction with the rules. The rules state that you need to actually provide copies of documents 5 days once all parties affix their signatures to the document. So once everyone signs and you have annotation, you have 5 days to submit a copy. Now, I would do it via fax, via email, even follow with the text if you're going to hand deliver it. But you do need to do something to where you can actually prove, because the duty is on the licensee to prove that you're in compliance with the laws and rules. So in case we do get a complaint, you can say, nope, I emailed it to them on this date, and that will close the complaint within a day, as opposed to us trying to figure out whether or not you did actually give a copy of the document to the parties. So that's a real big violation. We've seen that oftentimes whenever we get involved in investigations, we always determine that the offer was presented. They just didn't get a copy of the document.
And I have a case on my desk right now where the licensee swears that she gave a copy of the document. She said she put it in the mailbox. The complainant, of course, she's upset. So I don't know whether she got it or not, but her story is that she did not. So unless that licensee can prove that she did deliver that document to her, she's probably going to be assessed a fine. So this is just about covering yourself. Again, if you're going to hand deliver it, that's fine, but cover yourself, follow up with an email, a text, a fax, just to cover yourself and say, okay, on this date, I did send a copy to all parties.
Hey, but if you're doing that by .loop, you don't, that's like an annotation, right? Because
yes,
we're just talking about we're
Yes, ma'am. The program .loop that does actually annotate it for you. We're talking about instances when you're not using programs and they're not annotated.
Okay.
So if you don't use .loop or a program that actually annotates for you, you have to do it manually and write on there the date and time to be in compliance.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
These are some very, list of some very serious offenses. They're not so common, but they can land you in front of the commission. So we did want to kind of touch on those. Failing to cooperate with an investigation, that's a big one. The commission has put us in place to review these complaints prior to it getting to them. And if they see that you're not complying with their officers, then they frown upon that. Filing a false document with the commission, that's a big no-no. And then the 1455, we call that 36 ways to lose your license, because those in those 36 instances, you can land yourself before the commission. And those include failure to account for money, commingling. Another one that I've been seeing arise in the cases lately, failure to disclose a known material defect. So at the moment that you have knowledge that there's a defect in the property, it is your duty as a licensee to disclose those defects. So a deal may have fallen through where you were listing a property. If it fell through due to a defect, you need to either get with that seller, have them update the property disclosure and disclose all of the defects, or you need to disclose it in those comments or whenever a new buyer comes up. Because again, if they find out that there was deficiencies in the property and you did not disclose it, you could come before the commission and it's possible you could lose your license.
Some other very serious offenses, it's not really most common violation, but it's a serious offense, is commissions dealing with compensation. So of course, you already know that all payments must go through the sponsoring broker. I'm gonna say it one more time. All payments, any payment you receive as an agent, bonuses, it must go, gifts, it must go through your sponsoring broker. You cannot receive that directly. That would be a violation.
And that's not to say, sorry to cut you off, but that's not to say that the broker has to take something out of it. But it said the laws state that all compensation must go through the sponsoring broker.
Correct. And then also in conjunction with that, you cannot pay anyone, any unlicensed entity or person, any portions of your commission. If you're paying an unlicensed person portions of your commission, that's also a violation. So just remember, we're going over these as serious offenses because we don't want to see you land, like she said, on our desk and we have to investigate. But just some things that we've seen over the years that have landed some licensees in front of the commission.
So this is just a list of the violations that the commission has authorized us to issue citations for. This is the licensing laws. So these are somewhat minor offenses. We see a lot of them. If you see the first one is the continuing education, conducting authorized activity after expiration. We have so many of those that we can't really run everyone through the commission. We'd be here all week long hearing all of these cases. So the commission has authorized our executive director, who has then given us authorization to issue citations for minor violations. So if we open an investigation and we see that these are the only offenses, then we can issue a citation. So if you receive a citation and you know you're not guilty, say you check that you practice after expiration and all you did was attend the closing. Don't agree to the citation and pay the citation because you are admitting guilt. Show your documentation and then the case can be closed. But if you know that you signed a new listing in between the time that your license expired, then yes, you are in violation. There's no reason to come to the commission and argue that. You should go ahead and pay the fine and get it over with. Once the fine is paid, the case can be closed. So like I said, this is a list of all of the licensing laws. And this is a list of all of the rules and regulations.
And this information can be found on our website. So there's a list of citations that we typically handle through the file. It's called a site defined schedule. You can find it on our website under compliance. And it's just a list of the same things that we're giving you right now, just showing you how much we typically assess for that particular violation. And that's when there's only that particular violation, not in conjunction and coupled with other violations. But if it's just that you failed to get the education, then that's going to be that one fine, and then the case can be closed.
And so, like she said, you can find that on our website. And if you have any questions about it, just let us know. Okay, that is the end of our content. So any questions that y'all may have?
Yes, let me go to the chat. Give me 1 second.
All right.
All right, let's see. What was the first one? Sorry, I'm getting there. Okay. Can you touch on, I'm sorry, Mary would like to know, can you touch on quickly what the
I'm
advertising
sorry,
should?
I put that in before they got to that slide.
Okay,
I'm
all right.
sorry.
Nope,
Thank
not a
you.
problem. All right, so let's see. Isn't there still a one-click rule for online ads?
You want to
Okay.
take it?
Yeah, so the one click away rule, that is for social media platforms where there's a limited character field. So if I'm not familiar with, well, neither one of us, we're not really familiar with all of the different social media apps because they come out daily. However, like if you're on TikTok or if you're on Instagram or Twitter, there's a limited character field. You can only do like 150 characters. So you can't fit all of that information. On those sites, you can put your link, the link to your website, and the next click to the website should have all of that information. Now, that does not apply for Facebook or in like or Trulia or LinkedIn or any of those
None of
other
those
sites.
websites. An internet website, you have to put, when you can put the information, you must put the information. The one click away rule is only for limited character fields. So don't try to say one click away on Facebook, because Facebook, you can put all that information. So it's not gonna fly with Facebook. Maybe Instagram, if you can only put a limited character field, then that would be sufficient. But if you try to do the one click away with the internet website that you can put information on, you're gonna be in violation.
Okay. All right. Should our email address be included in the email signature?
It's not required. That's a line up. That's additional information. What must be in the email signature is what we went over. The broker's name, broker's telephone number, the city and state of the broker, office, and regulatory jurisdiction in which the broker holds their license. Those are the things that are required and mandatory and must be there. Anything else isn't in addition to.
So you won't be cited for extra, but you will be cited for not enough.
You said the broker's name, or you mean the agency?
The whatever is on your license, because we have some licensees who are licensed under a person. So if you are licensed under a person, then that's what your advertising should say. But if you are licensed under a company such as Keller Williams, that's what your advertisement must say.
Okay, so I'm up here, I'm on Facebook correcting mine, and I put my location in several times, but it's not saving it.
Okay, well, you may want to get with someone in your office to see how to update that information. I can't really tell you how to do it from here, but yeah, you may want to get with them to see how they've updated their information and correct it that way. We're not coming look for you.
Okay, let's see. Rick Roberts would like to know, can you tell us who the best real estate commissioner currently is?
That would be Rick Roberts, hands down.
Oh my God.
All right, Lisa would like to know, where in the rules does it say that the one-click rule only applies to limited character websites?
It does not. You won't find that. What happened was, the rules does not address, if you look at it, text messages, you won't find that, because the rules are written way back. So you won't see radio ads or TV ads, car wraps, social media. You won't find that in the rules and regs. What's happening is that we're trying to give you our input on how to be in compliance with the rules using these new platforms. So all we can tell you is what the rules state. Now, if you want to use these different platforms, you got to find out information on how to obtain, how to input that information so you're in compliance. But we can't tell you how to use these platforms. We can only tell you what the rules state. And so that's what you need to put on these different platforms.
Okay, Craig says, my broker recently opened a satellite office that I'll be working out of. Must I still use my broker's main office in my advertising, or can I use the address of the satellite office?
Well,
Broker's office.
Whatever is registered with the commission. So
Yeah.
if that satellite office is registered with the commission, he can use that address. But if it is not, he should be using the broker's main office address.
And the branch office or satellite office should be registered with.
Yes, it should be.
All right, this isn't a question, but I thought it was very nice. She said, absolutely the dynamic duo. Attended one of your seminars before I was licensed. Keep up the great work, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We
We
appreciate
appreciate it.
And okay, so Tim asks, when agents are owners of property being sold, is the public and agent notes, I'm sorry, in the MLS containing the phrase owner agent sufficient to satisfying the rule mentioned regarding notice prior to negotiating on the property?
That is, well, yes and no, because MLS is not considered advertising for our purposes. So he can put that for the agent's notes for them to know. But if he has a yard sign or any other advertising, then he must disclose. And then when you get down to the negotiation of the transaction, he still must disclose that he is a licensee.
Right. I'm saying, because typically if you're a member, you're gonna see that. And so agents will see that, but the public won't. And so the rule reads that you have to disclose to all parties in a transaction prior to negotiations of a contract. So however you need to actually do that, if you want to do it on a piece of paper and say here, or, you know, we, again, don't tell you how to go about doing it, but we can tell you what the rules state. So I would actually do it outside of the MLS. If you're gonna do it that way, that's fine, but I would do something else in conjunction with that, because that's just between members.
But it has to be, would you have to advertise that on the sign as well?
If you have a sign,
Like
you
if
definitely have
you
to
already-
advertise on the sign as well.
Yeah.
Unless you listen with the brokerage. That's the only exception to the rule.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because I'm like, if you already have signs made, like.
That's an
just-
exception to the rule if you have it with the brokerage. But if you do not, you have to put owner agent. Because they need to know that you hold a license.
Okay, so Craig asked, well, I don't know if this is a question, but he said the satellite office does have a broker in charge.
Okay, but still, it must be registered with the commission and in order for him to advertise as doing business through the satellite office.
Melissa asks, I just did a car magnet and I did not put broker and broker number. Do I need to make new ones?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely, before somebody turn it in.
Right.
That's the minimum elements. That is the minimum, like that you have to have that information in
Right.
all of your advertisements. No matter if it's printed or internet, it has to be there.
Okay, Lauren wants to know, I sometimes see agents listing their home as for sale by owner. Isn't that a violation?
It's not a violation to list your property for sale by owner. You can do what you want with your own property. It's a violation if they're not stating that they are a licensee in the transaction. But we can't regulate homeowners. They can, I mean, it's their property, they own it. So they can sell, lease it, whatever they want with their own property.
All right, well, those are all the questions I have. Does anybody have any more questions before we wrap this up?
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
All right, well, thank you so much, Nikki and Melissa. We really appreciate everything y'all do for us.
Thank you for
Very
having us.
welcome. Yes, and anytime you need us, just let us know.
And if you need, any one of the licensees need anything, please take down our email address or our contact information and call us. We do not have any issues with helping you guys stay in compliance. We just can't help you once we get a case or a citation across our desk. We have to go through that process. So if you call us on the forefront, we can definitely keep you in compliance.
All right, well, thank you. And again, I recorded this session. It will be posted on Nomar's website, hopefully by the end of the week, okay? All right, well, thank you for everybody attending, and thanks again, Melissa and Nikki.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank
Thank y'all.
you.
Y'all have a great day.
Thank you, you too.